All right, the menu is done. The header's looking really good. Let's move on now into the next area of our layout. So I'm going to leave the slideshow area for now, and I'm going to skip all the way down to these three main boxes that we created, our center boxes, if you'll recall. So over inside the layers panel, you can collapse your header group, and then you can twist open your center boxes layer group if you want. Now, what we want to do here is we want to apply, obviously, a little bit of design, a little bit of formatting. So here's what I'm after anyway. I want to throw on a stroke or an outline onto these three objects. And I also want to throw on what's referred to as a gradient overlay. So as opposed to a solid color overlay, I actually want to throw a gradient onto these guys. If you're not 100% sure what a gradient is, essentially what it is a transition between two or more colors. All right, I'm sure as soon as you see it, you'll know exactly what it is. All right, now, before we really get going here, I just want to mention something here. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of my swatches panel because, of course, we saved our colors that we want to make use of inside our layout here, and we're going to use these guys in this exercise. Now, I'm going to start off with center box 1. That's this fella here, way over on the left-hand side. Go ahead and double-click on this layer object over towards the right-hand side of that layer, by the way. And of course, that gets us into the layer style dialog box. Now, I'm just going to move this guy over a little bit so we can see what happens to the object here as we go. All right. Now, inside our list of available effects or styles, look for gradient overlay. Go ahead and select that guy. And of course, there's my gradient, the default gradient going from solid black to solid white. Now, that's, of course, not what we want. We actually want to create a nice gradient going between or transitioning between our two tan colors that we created, the light tan color and the dark tan color. So here's how to do it. We have this gradient swatch here. Go ahead and click on that guy. That gets me into what's called the gradient editor. Now, I suppose I could go and create a new gradient and save it and all the rest of it, but let's kind of keep things moving along here. So we have this gradient ramp here down towards the bottom of the gradient editor, and I'm going to start off with the black color stop as it's referred to. So there's my color stop. Now I want to change this color, so I have two ways to do this. I could double click on this color stop or this color block, or I could single click on the color swatch down at the bottom. That's what I'll do. And hey, it's Photoshop's color picker once again. Now we know this already. We know that when we're inside Photoshop's color picker, we can actually bring our cursor outside of the color picker and go and sample color from anywhere on screen, right? So I'm actually going to go after the dark tan color. So I have the base green, the brown, and then myself anyway, I have the dark tan color. There we go. So now we have the gradient going from this dark tan color that we set, and it's transitioning into white, which looks kind of cool, actually. We might wind up sticking with that if we're so inclined, but I'm going to go ahead and click on OK here. And there's the replaced color stop. And then basically I'm going to do the same thing over on the opposite side. So there's the white color stop. I can double click on that color stop or click on the color swatch, the white color swatch, back into the color picker. And then now I will choose the light tan color, something like that. Okay, so it's a very subtle transition. You can always adjust this if you want. If you wanted it a little bit lighter, see, that's where the color currently resides inside the picker. I might maybe make it a little bit lighter, maybe something like that. Whatever you want. You can edit it. You can monkey with it. Nice stuff. Okay, go ahead and click on OK. Go ahead and click on OK one more time. That brings us back into the layer style dialog box. Now, I mentioned that I also wanted to throw on a stroke, an outline. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and choose stroke, this guy right here down towards the bottom of my list of effects. Make sure you actually select this guy too, because we want our stroke options showing up inside the layer style dialog box. Of course, the default color is black. That's no good. I want to go with a brown. So I'm going to click on my black color swatch once again into the Photoshop color picker, and then I'll go and grab my brown color out of my swatches panel, and then click on OK. All right, wonderful stuff. Now, as far as the thickness of the stroke, of course, we can really crank this up if we wanted to. We have all kinds of different things we can do here. I'm going to drop this all the way down to just 2 pixels, just like that. Okay? Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the position of the stroke. This is maybe a little bit tricky to understand if you've never done this before. Maybe what I'll do, I'll give you a quick run through this. If I crank up the size of my stroke, maybe something like this, notice the stroke is expanding or contracting based on the outside of my object. That's because the position of the stroke is on the outside of the shape or the object. I can switch that to inside, and now the stroke's on the inside. So now the stroke is going to expand and contract on the inside. So it's actually inside that I want for our purposes here. So make sure you're set to inside, and then I'll reset my size all the way back down to 2, just like that. Wonderful. Go ahead and click on OK. All right, so there's one of our center boxes. Of course, we have 2 more to go, but let's speed things up here a little bit. Here's another neat trick that we can make use of. So here's the center box 1. There's the effects I can see applied to center box 1. I'm going to right-click on that layer, and then I'm going to go down to Copy Layer Style, right there. Wonderful. And then I'll grab center box 2, right-click on him, and I'll choose Paste Layer Style. Boom, there it is. Awesome. And then I'll go down to center box 3 and repeat the process. Right click and then paste. And there's that effect applied to the 2 other center boxes. I suppose what I could do, if I think I might use this more than once, is I could save it as a style and then just go and pull it up whenever I want to use it inside the styles panel. That's an option as well. Okay, so we have our center boxes done. Wonderful stuff.